Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings, to the We Are Change news show. And of course, everyone's eyes today were on Helsinki, Finland, as the Russian President Vladimir Putin met with US President Donald Trump. And holy cow, the political world exploded. Russian President Vladimir Putin didn't hold anything back, firing shots at Hillary Clinton, George Soros, Peter Strzok. There's a massive amount of spin, lies, deception, and warmongering when it comes to coverage of this actual meeting, and that's why in this video we're going to expose that. We'll also tell you exactly what happened and what you should take away from this greater meeting. Now, of course, every US president in modern history has met with the Soviet and Russian leaders, especially in Finland, that hosted a number of meetings between the United States and the Soviet Union all throughout the Cold War and fall of the Soviet Union. But with the political landscape being so crazed in the United States, this was not no ordinary meeting, and we saw the press cover almost every exact detail of this meeting, building it up to some sort of super fight, and it wasn't. There was a handshake, and two world leaders of the biggest nuclear powers in the world being cordial to each other and having a press conference. And apparently that's all it takes for people to completely lose their ish, be socially engineered, and have social media promote hashtags like Treason Summit, ultimately highlighting people who are politically brainwashed and would rather have the chances of a nuclear war over diplomacy. We even saw a Democratic congressman who even writes in his bio, Dem for CIA, and the alleged Russian meddling in our elections to Pearl Harbor, and not to be outdone here, 9/11, and comparing John Podesta's hacked email from his account where his password was password to Pearl Harbor and 9/11 is definitely irrational and unhinged. And of course, Anderson Cooper of CNN couldn't be outdone here, since he is a former CIA trainee and what many people believe a current CIA stooge, who was also trending on Twitter during the Helsinki conference because he allegedly ripped Donald Trump by calling his press conference a quote embarrassment and a quote disgrace. Which makes me want to ask the logical question, where were you, Anderson Cooper, when George W. Bush was president of the United States? Oh yeah, he was starting wars, which is usually approved by the CIA, if not manufactured and started by them. But you know, we had this conversation many times, Anderson. And if you wish to see the full conversations that I had with Mr. Anderson Cooper, please check out the links in the description below. And in related CIA stooge news, of course, we have John Brennan, former CIA director, who came out and said that this cordial meeting and press conference exceeds the threshold of high crimes and misdemeanors, saying, quote, it was nothing short of treasonous. And not surprisingly, even leftist publications are running with this headline, just completely forgetting how he's a complete warmonger, a proven liar, and helped set up the spying apparatuses under Obama's administration that is now in the hands of Donald Trump. And what's really extremely telling about all the coverage that I'm seeing of the Helsinki meeting, it is dominated by all of these people who are connected to the CIA, which we know throughout history with the intelligence agencies of the United States have been lying to the American people and have gotten them into pointless wars. For, of course, the benefit of the military-industrial complex. And you know, for me, that's actual treason. And maybe, just maybe, this is why all these people connected to the CIA are not really happy about the normalizing of relations between the United States and Russia, since they have been in many conflict zones and proxy wars all throughout the world. And as this journalist points out, once again, the big critique of Donald Trump is that he is insufficiently combative with foreign leaders and thereby has committed treason for some reason. Obviously, he's being satirical, but the political discussion right now is deranged, and it's being promoted and pushed out there to the general public. Now, I think it's actually important to talk about what was actually discussed during this press conference that has everyone up in arms. And one of the first things that caught my eye is, of course, Russian President Vladimir Putin openly calling out billionaire globalist George Soros, who is also a self-admitted Nazi collaborator, by the way. And Putin described him as someone who actually does meddle in foreign elections, and then asked whether Russia should also hold George Soros accountable for everything Soros has done to influence democracy while living in the United States. Now, of course, Russia denied any interference in American internal affairs and went as far as to even offer the special counsel investigators and Robert Mueller the opportunity to come to Russia and work with them to figure out who hacked and meddled in U.S. interests. Putin also, during the press conference, casually also suggested that U.S. intelligence agents funneled $400 million to Hillary Clinton from illegal laundered funds from Russia through a company called Concord. And at the end of the conference, he of course mentioned former FBI investigator in the Russian probe, Peter Strzok, as a disgrace and accused him of a, quote, witch hunt against Donald Trump. And of course, these are all major damning statements that are not getting that much attention, of course, on the US mainstream media. Also, very interestingly, Vladimir Putin presented Donald Trump with the soccer ball from the World Cup, saying, quote, now the ball is in your court. Now, a couple other notable things that happened during this press conference was when Donald Trump said that he would work with the Russian president in order to destroy radical Islamist terrorism. And Trump asserted that both the United States and Russia are responsible for the deteriorating relationship that has happened between the two countries. This being one comment that created a lot of hyperbolic reactions from mainly establishment figures within the United States, who criticized him for allegedly throwing the U.S. intelligence agencies under the bus. And honestly, in my opinion, with intelligence agencies having horrible track records of serving the American people, even going as far as importing cocaine, drug smuggling, gun running, starting wars, overthrowing governments for corporate and political reasons, the intelligence agencies don't have the best reputation. And I think it's important for a lot of people to ask themselves now, after this press conference, did the odds of a nuclear war rise or fall? Did the odds of peace in Syria rise or fall? And even though it was one of Donald Trump's major campaign promise when he was running to be president of the United States to cooperate with Russia in order to destroy radical Islamic terrorism, this simply did not happen at all. And because of very aggressive foreign policy actions that Donald Trump has taken, the relationship between Russia and the United States has deteriorated even more. That's why this whole narrative that they're trying to push on you falls flat on its face, because it is just not factually correct. Under the presidency of Donald Trump, U.S. forces killed more than 100 Russian mercenaries inside of Syria. Many Russian soldiers directly and indirectly were killed inside of Syria because of the bold foreign policy actions that Donald Trump has made in that country. And he has doubled down on the intervention inside of Syria, even establishing new bases and sending more boots on the ground in that country, ultimately complicating the already very complicated proxy war that's happening in that country, with, of course, Russian forces and American forces being on opposite sides, even at times coming close to actually clashing with each other, which of course would spark a bigger war. And Donald Trump has even gone farther than the previous president, Barack Obama, has, and has even announced the sale of lethal weapons to the Ukrainian government, which of course pro-Russian separatists and Russian interests are fighting against even to this day. Now, of course, this is just one meeting of many meetings to come. Other than this press conference, there was still a secret meeting between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin that no one knows exactly what happened during that meeting, but you could bet your bottom dollar that, of course, Ukraine, Syria, and Iran were discussed alongside with Israel, which actually the United States met with Israel and Netanyahu right before this meeting to discuss the future of all these conflict points that exist because of the tensions between the United States and Russia. And away from all the spin and lies that we're being told about today, we have to ask ourselves as the people of this country, do we want to resolve conflicts with the second nuclear power in the world, or do we want to look towards war as a solution towards everything? Now, if today's meeting proves anything, it's that it's very clear that the US mainstream media, major social media networks, and of course intelligence agencies all want war. And they're pushing for it very effectively with trying to control the dialogue here. And that's why I wanted to ask you guys, will Donald Trump be affected by this, and will this hinder the possibility of resolution between Russia and the United States? or will Donald Trump ignore it? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And because the people who want war are controlling the narrative, it's imperative that you guys share this video with your friends and family members and donate to us on wearechange.org/donate, since of course the videos we produce are automatically demonetized and we're being screwed with numbers of people coming to us saying that they don't even get our notifications anymore. But regardless, I'm still here and I'm definitely not going away anytime soon, especially with the crazy political landscape that we're dealing with right now. I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for a lot more.